You're probably overthinking your back training. How can I say that with certainty? It's because I've been in your shoes. I was in the same situation for ages, doing far too many back exercises, wondering why my back never got any wider or thicker. And it was simply because I was burning myself out, not taking care of my sleep outside the gym, not nailing my diet, and trying to do too much in one session. So I've been in your shoes and made the same mistakes. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how I built a bigger back by stripping back my training and only doing 3 back exercises. I built way more muscle and I spent probably less time in the gym doing it. So let's get into it. It's true that the back is a complex group of muscles and a lot of them will work together. So you cannot actually isolate just the traps, just the rhomboids, and this is where people get lost in the weeds, overthinking your back training. You can't do a rhomboids focus workout, a trap only focus workout. Instead, they work as a whole, and you can bias certain divisions of the back by the arm path that you're pulling in. So a good way that I focused on my back training and really developed the width on my back through my lats and then developed my upper back was thinking about the elbow position that I'm pulling at. And so you want to hit the back from different angles, but you also don't want to do so many different variations because you're going to be using the same muscles and there's got to be a lot of carryover between them. To grow your back, you want to be focusing on adding reps and then weight gradually over time on your big compound movements. When we're talking about compound movements, it means multiple muscle groups at the same time. So think about pull-ups or pull-downs and rows, and pulling from these different positions is going to make sure that we're hitting all of that back region. Now, the lower back is going to be strengthened by doing a heavy deadlift variation, which you could do on your leg day, for example, a Romanian deadlift, or if you prefer conventional deadlift from the floor, that works as well. Whether you do it on back day or leg day is a whole nother video, okay? So we're not going to get into that, into the weeds. But any deadlift variation is going to take care of the lower back, and then for the upper back and the lats, and to get width and thickness on that back, a pull down or a pull up as well as a couple of row variations is more than enough. If you then want to work on some maybe shoulder mobility and add in a face pull, that's absolutely fine. But your bread and butter to increase the weights on to get that big back is going to be these heavy compound exercises, being pull downs, rows, and pull-ups if you prefer. So my example of exercises that I used to really build my back was some form of pull down, just focusing on a neutral grip, pulling down. It's going to hit the lats and the upper back in this one. The second variation was two different rows. So doing a row where I was focused on my elbows flared up here and pulling back. In this position, it's more of an upper back focused row. The lats will still be involved, but because you're pulling back in this motion here and squeezing the shoulder blades together, you're going to be putting more emphasis through the upper back. The third exercise that I focused on building up was a cable row, and in this variation I was focusing on pulling my elbow to my hip. So when you're thinking about lat training, you want to keep your arm tucked in, elbow towards your hip, pulling into here, and you're crunching into the lat here without pulling past your torso. So when you pull past your torso here, it's going to be slightly more upper back focus. So hitting the back from a couple of different angles on a row, a lat focus row pulling your elbow to your hip, and then an upper back focus row where you're pulling with your elbows in a bit of a higher position flared out. That's probably more than enough alongside a pull down or a pull up to build a really big back. And so think of it like this: if you go from rowing 40 kilos to 60 kilos with the same sets and reps, do you think your back will grow? It definitely will. And that is the simplistic approach to kind of start with as a basis with your back training. And then if you want to fill in the details with a rear delt fly, a face pull, or these smaller exercises, that is the way to think about it. Traps are going to be heavily involved here because when you are pulling and retracting the shoulder blades, most of the divisions of the traps are going to be involved, so the lower and mid traps. If you want a little bit more upper trap development, there's nothing wrong with throwing in some shrugs as well if that is a priority area for you, but they're going to be used in lateral raises as well. So some shoulder exercises will involve the traps. If you focus on adding weight over time through progressive overload, which is what I did to build my back, all I did was 2 sets to failure on these 3 exercises, and each week I made sure I was adding reps on until I got to the top end of my rep range that I chose, which would be 6 to 10. Then I added weight on when I got to the end of my rep range, and build the reps back up over a number of weeks. All I did was focus on lifting heavier every week if possible, and I built a pretty solid back as a result of this. And this was far quicker progress than when I was doing 8 exercises, 10 exercises, way more back exercises. I know this sounds counterintuitive when you first start stripping back your training and simplifying it. Think of it like this: if you are doing really heavy rows, pull downs, and you're doing weighted pull-ups, have you ever met anyone with these exercises that you see lifting very heavy weights with good form in the gym that doesn't have a pretty solid back? It's safe to say, if you increase your weights a lot on these big exercises, your back is going to grow. I hope you found this video useful to simplify your back training so you have a good starting point to make sure that you are increasing the weights over time. If you found this useful, drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more simple fat loss and muscle building tips. I will see you on the next video. See you later. Bye.